Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for watching. So we're just going to get straight into the video. I'm going to try and not do long intros because they're boring. And today we're going to be doing my brow routine. This is going to be more so like how I do my brows. It's really hard to do a video on how to do brows in general because every person's brows are different, but hopefully some of these tips and tricks will help you and you can adapt it to your own brow routine. So if you want to know how I do my brows, then just keep on watching. So the first thing that I do with my brows is I literally just brush them up so they're kind of all going in the right direction. So as for brow products, I do switch between two. I switch between the Morphe brow pencil and MAC eyeshadows. So the pencil I tend to use if I'm in a rush and I just want to touch up like little areas. So if I want to touch up like the center of the brow or the tail, I'll use a pencil, and then if I know I want to have like a fuller looking brow, I will use powder. The reason why I like using powder is because you can get a really soft looking brow while still looking defined, because powder typically is a kind of softer formula obviously, and also I like to be able to see my natural brow hairs because I do have hair there. They're just not very thick and full. So by using a powder, you're actually just ensuring that you keep that nice texture of the brow. Whereas sometimes if I use gel, as in like the gel pots, they're almost too heavy and they end up just kind of covering my natural brow hairs. So gels are great if you literally have like no brows and you really need a solid formula to give you a new shape. They're great for that. They're also great for like marking little brow strokes with a really fine angled brush. But yeah, this is just what works for me. I've used this for absolute ages. I've always used powder just because I feel like it works better for me, but yeah, it's personal preference to be honest. And also the reason why I like using this particular one, so this is Omega by MAC, and it just has a really cool undertone. So because my natural hair and my natural brows are super cool, they're almost borderline like grey. If I use anything too warm, you can instantly see it. If you have like really ashy cool tone hair, then you want to go for a brow powder or a brow product that has that ashy undertone. If you go for anything with too much red in it, it's just going to come up super warm on your skin. If you have like strawberry blonde hair or you have more kind of like ginger hair, then you can get away with going for a powder or a brow product that is on the warmer side. So to apply the brow product, I'll always use a thin angled brush. So I switch between, oh my god, the numbers come off. I think it's a 266 brush by MAC. This is super old. I've pretty much had this since I first worked at MAC like 5 or 6 years ago. I also really like the A17 by Spectrum. As you can see, they're both quite narrow. So when you use an angle brush that is more narrow widthways, it basically gives you more control and you just get more of a kind of defined edge, I feel. So I would normally do my brows after my foundation, but because I'm doing a makeup look after this and I know I want to do my foundation last, that is the reason. I know a lot of people do their brows first anyway, but just do whatever works for you. You'll find if you've got foundation laid down, it does help grab the product a little bit more. But by putting it on your skin, you're getting the true colour and the true texture. I'll use the Omega powder, and because this is slightly lighter than my natural brow colour, the reason why I like it is because basically when I lay it down, it doesn't cover up my natural brow hairs. So it's kind of adding in a little bit more colour and almost like a shadow. So that way you can still see, like I was saying before, you can still see the texture of the brow. So because I've already got a shape there, I'm just using this brow powder to naturally enhance what I've already got. So I'm just following the natural shape And I always start kind of at the mid part of the brow and take it across, so you can still see the natural brow hairs, and that is just enhanced what is already there. And then once I get to the base and the front of the brow, I will press on the bottom and flick upwards. Press and flick upwards. So that way it kind of feathers out the product from the base of the brow, because the natural part of our brows are always, if you can see this part here, it's always naturally lighter and it doesn't have as much hair there. So you kind of want to mimic that if you're going for that like softer looking brow at the front. And then I will always brush that product through, brush my hairs back up just to see if there's any gaps. So this is where I go in with a darker powder. So this is Charcoal Brown by MAC. Again, it's also slightly cooler. The Coquette colour that I was talking about earlier is even more cooler than this, which is what I do prefer, but I did run out of that a while ago. It still works for me. It is just a touch warmer, but it still doesn't have too much red in it, so it doesn't come out too warm on the skin. So I basically use this one to define the outer edge of my brow. So I always get it on both sides. You can always take off the excess if you don't want to apply too much. And then again, I never start right at the front. I start at the mid part of the brow. And we're basically sketching a line under that brow. And then if you ever want to thicken up that arch, so you can see at the moment it's kind of angling up slightly, which is what I don't want. I don't want it too angled there. I like a kind of straighter brow. So if you ever want to straighten out your natural brows, the trick is to make this line here straighter. So if your brows kind of curve up like that, or they really angle up like that, what you want to do is basically draw a straighter line coming across from the mid part of your brow, connecting to your tail. So you can see already that has just straightened that out even more. And then if you want to make it even more straighter, you would basically just miss out the tail. If I can show you, if you just miss out the tail and continue that line across, your brow is going to look so much straighter. And then the exact same on top, just sketching out a line all the way across the top, bringing it down by the tail. So you can see that is just really defined it now. But I still like to soften those edges so it's not too harsh, because I still want to be able to see the natural brow. And then I also use that same colour to fill in any gaps. So I just use it, if you can see there's a couple gaps in the middle. So I just do like little feathery motions, because we don't want to colour in. Well, I personally don't like to colour in the brow. I just kind of flick it across just to keep the texture there. And repeat that step from before by flicking it upwards. And then the same with the top of the brow. If you ever want to enhance the arch, the more you enhance, the kind of more angled it's going to look. So if we didn't fill in that gap here and we kind of brought that line up at an angle and then brought it down at an angle, you instantly get more of an arched brow. So that's kind of how you alter the shape of the brow, depending on if you want them more arched or more straight. So if you wanted it more arched, you would continue this tail down like that, and you would just really enhance that shape there. and also that depends on if you want a curved brow. So if you wanted a curved brow, you would obviously bring it up slightly and curve it all the way down. Whereas if you wanted a really angled, you know, strong looking brow, you would bring this straight across and then angle it straight down, so you wouldn't curve that bit there, if that makes sense. And obviously it depends on your natural brow anyway, so it's just all about playing around with your natural brow and seeing what works. I don't mind the colour so much because I quite like bold brows and blonde hair, but because it's looking a bit short and sluggish, what we're going to do is extend the extend the tail of the brow. So what I do, you can wet the brush, you can, you know, spit on it, I'm joking. I've just got a pot of water that I use for my sponge. Wet the brush, or you can spray it with Fix Plus or whatever you want, and then use a little part of your brow powder. Pop a little bit of the excess on your hand, because what will happen, you'll almost create like a paste with the water and the powder. You can alter the texture by using water and powder. So that's the reason why I love using powder, is because you can completely alter the texture. So you can make it super, super soft, and then you can go in with a little bit of water and a little bit of the powder and just enhance that shape. Because I like the fact that it creates almost like a paste that you can get an even more defined edge. So what I like to do is just define that tail. So I just do very short, tiny little motions. So you can see that's just extended the length a little bit more. And then with the water and powder trick, you can also create like little brow strokes, because it kind of makes it into a paste. And if you really like pinch your brush like that, and from the base of your brow just do little flicking motions. But that is pretty much it for the product. So that kind of brow is if I was going out, lol, not going out, or if I was filming a video, I would always do my brows like this. And lastly, no matter what kind of brow I do, I will always go in with my brow gel. So this is the clear or translucent brow gel by Morphe, and I absolutely love brow gel. I only really tend to use a clear one just because I don't want to alter the colour of my brows. If your brow hairs are super, super blonde, then a coloured one would work really well, because you can put that on first and it will just instantly make you look like you have more hair. So I feel like I don't suit my hairs brushed up. Feel free to do that if you like, because obviously that's quite in at the moment, but I kind of brush them up and then across, and then same with these, kind of in the direction that they grow in basically. And then I will always go in with a little bit of concealer, and I feel like this step always completely changes the brow. If I ever feel like I've gone too thick, or the edge isn't as defined as I want, or if the shape just isn't looking good, this completely changes it. So for a natural kind of looking brow, I literally just use the tiniest amount of concealer, because again, if I'm not wearing a lot of makeup, I don't do this every time I've got that pencil on, but if I want to just amp it up a bit, I will use a MAC 242 brush, coat both sides of the brush. And again, I'll always start at the mid part of the brow because I don't want the front looking really, really defined. So I always start a little bit lower than I need to, because sometimes if you put too much product by your brow, sometimes you can accidentally seep into the line, and you kind of ruin what you've already created. So I'll just lay a little bit of product down, then once I've got the product on there, I then kind of edge it into the brow or by the edge. And then just with little tiny motions, I just kind of sketch it down into the tail, and then the same the other way. Sometimes I'll do like one little motion to, again, like kind of almost like carve it out. And then if I want a little bit more control, I will kind of edge it side to side. And then whatever is left on the brush, I will just bring that to the front of the brow. And then you can always use a more fluffy brush to soften it and blend out any of those edges into the brow bone. So you can also use the concealer to neaten up the tail. So if you want to sharpen up the tail, you can literally just swipe it across just to make it look a little bit more defined, and the same on top, like so. So you can see it's just highlighted it and just made it super defined. But again, it looks really weird with no makeup on, but with like a full face, that kind of just finishes it off. Oh, welcome back. Welcome. Welcome. Do you ever try and sing really good and yeah, it doesn't work? I literally am in a weird mood. I can't stop laughing. Oh god. I'm literally like almost crying. Yeah, just keep on watching. Keep on watching, girl. Don't stop watching. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where's that bloody spoolie gone? Is it caught in my cardigan again?